What is up, everybody? This is your girl, Rawne, and welcome to Rawne Hour. Happy Saturday. We're here over at the Voice of Stockton, KXVS 92.1, with our wonderful music artist guest, Syren.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much to DJ Loop for bringing her in and working so hard on all of her albums and songs.
Oh, yeah.
My gosh. So
Yeah.
he had mentioned he shared your music some time ago. He came in, he let us know he's been working with you. You're up and coming, and you've been doing so much. So I'm very excited to have you here and share all that you are and that you do. So I'm gonna let you know a couple people have already said hello.
Hey,
so
that's awesome.
Syren, where are you from?
I am from a small town. People usually stop in on the way to go snowboarding at South Lake Tahoe, but it's called Placerville, California. Just really a small town. Everyone knows everybody. Sometimes it's not so fun.
Right.
But
Were you born and raised there?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
man.
I was Marshall Hospital.
My goodness.
Yeah.
So you kind of know that small town life.
Oh, all too well.
What is it like for you to kind of venture out and then you're becoming something that's just beyond that? Beyond the small town, you know?
It's crazy. I honestly, growing up in a small town, you look at everyone, and a lot of those people don't leave. A lot of those people,
that's
that's where their roots
life,
are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you get comfortable, and
generations.
I'll be honest, I tried leaving a couple times, and it just pulls you back in, no matter
All
how
the
far.
families there.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's awesome, and it's really kind of neat though, because it's such a small town. The friends are so connected. And when you're doing music and you're really trying to promote and you're really trying to get it out there, they are so helpful, and they are there for you, and they share, and they like your stuff, and they're constantly like building you up, and it's really kind of neat. It's like a little family.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So being that you have a nice circle of friends, family, it's quaint, how did you come to find that you had this musical talent?
Oh gosh, I was singing even before I could actually say words. I was just mumble singing as a baby. It's kind of always been in my family. My grandmother, she died when I was very young, when I was 3, but I still have memories, like this one memory of her playing the piano and singing, and my father had always mentioned how people would actually travel, and they would come to see her, and they would drive like hours away to come watch and listen. And my dad's always saying, on the job sites or in the truck, and he'd be belting at the top of his lungs, and I'd be singing, and it's just always been there. It's always been a part of me. Music has always been huge, and so I just kept going with it. It's something that I can't ever push out of my life, and it's something that I had to embrace and start writing my own stuff.
Did you ever try pushing it out of your life at one point?
There was a certain point. I didn't necessarily push it out, but when I was about 18, I started dipping into some music and recording with Optimistic. And him and I would sit there in an old school computer, just a mic hooked up, no equalizers, nothing, no effects really. It was very raw, and we would just sit in there and do stuff. And then I was like, this is what I want to do. I was like, I'm going to do this. So I started, pushing it, and I started reaching out to other artists and other possible producers. And there was a point in time where I was very hopeful, but things weren't happening, and it wasn't really getting out there. There was a lot of empty promises, and I was like, maybe this just isn't for me.
Oh, yes.
So I dipped out a little bit, and I stopped recording, and didn't really do it as much for a couple of years. And then I was, I felt like something was missing. As much as music, I love writing. It's a therapeutic type of thing for me.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
in a lot of ways, I needed it, and I realized that. So I went back into it. I was like, I'm not going to give up.
So when you started to say, okay, I'm missing something here, and you brought it back, how did that flare up in a flame to where it became different than what it was before?
So before, I had all this hope and everything, and it was kind of, I was writing these songs, but I was thinking mostly like mainstream, like what are people gonna like? Well, what's gonna get their attention?
What was your content before?
Not like it is now.
Okay.
It was still, it wasn't horrible. It wasn't bad, but it definitely wasn't as much from the soul as it is now. Coming back and realizing how much I needed it and how much I really missed it, I was able to really put those feelings into my music and kind of bring more depth into it, not so much the hype, but actually get into the poetry and get into the deep parts of my, emotions.
To release and have that therapy.
Yeah, and what I wanted to bring out, and realizing that other people out there felt the same way, and I could really write this music and relate and have them relate and make that connection.
So now that you're moving and now you have DJ Lute as your producer.
Yes.
And there are some things that come up. So are you taking direction as maybe to some type of content that you're also working on, or is it all you?
Okay. So I am still, still thinking about what's really popular out there. When it comes to like the dance music and stuff, I'm like, okay, I start picturing, I'm like, if they're out there and they're dancing and they're in the club, like, what do they want to hear? What do they want to jump to?
Saying?
Yeah. And then I was able to actually throw in, more of the deeper side of stuff as well. And I was like, I'm going to do both. I'm going to do all of it.
Yeah.
And that led us to doing multiple genres.
Yes.
So we started out with the dance project. Luke calls me up. He's like, let's do this dance project. I really want to do some new stuff. I'm like, I'm totally down for that. I had moved away to Texas and started getting back into music around that area. Moved back, and I was like, on the way back, moving and being in that car and that long trip.
That flares a lot, I have to say, because in the car is kind of a thing that is good for me. But then, that's where I've talked with other artists. And those long drives when you're going city to city, it just brings a type of creative environment, right?
Yeah, well, you have that time kind of away from everything else. There's so many distractions out there that you kind of get this time to yourself, and it's such a long time. You're kind of forced to sit there and really start doing some digging.
That's right.
So, I wanted to, and I had this whole thought and plan. I was like, I want to focus on my music when I want to move home. Like, I really want to try and get back into it and make it happen. I found this spark in Texas with these musical talented people that I had such a blast with. I was like, yes, this is, it felt so good to feel that way again. So it was just so ironic that moving home shortly after, I get a call from Lute, who I hadn't seen in a while, and he was, hits me up with this project, and I was like, yes, we're on the same wavelength. That's exactly what I wanted to do. So we started this project, and it's just been moving and building, and it's turning into something that I never even thought it was going to.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I'm loving the sound. I'm loving
you.
to share it. We're getting good feedback out here with the songs that we do have. You guys recently, when you jumped in with us here, you heard We the People.
Yes.
And I hope you guys give us some great feedback on that, as well as one other.
Maybe Then, or no.
Maybe
it was
then,
maybe
yes,
then.
Yeah, it was maybe then. Okay, so it was Maybe Then, and then We the People, and both of those songs actually are more the deeper side of songs. We the People was one of my very first semi-political songs that I brought out, that I really wanted people to hear the lyrics and really think about how we can join together to really conquer a lot of these negative things that are happening in the world today, kind of turn it around.
Right.
Instead of being in your bubble and trying to avoid it all, try and reach out and give a hug, and meet somebody and talk to strangers and
make a difference.
Find that connection. And try to make that difference regardless of race, regardless of any differences you have.
Right.
That was one of those. And then the Maybe Then one, that one, I've really been enjoying that song lately. That's a very fresh song, but kind of the same thing. You're kind of sit here in society forced to live a certain life or walk a certain path. There's a lot of pressure to not really be yourself.
Right.
And it's kind of one of those battles that I think a lot of people face is, do I sit here and do what everyone else wants me to do, or do I be myself and love myself and live this life that makes me really happy? So it's kind of one of those battle moments that, even I deal with a lot.
Right. And it's that thing where everybody kind of has to find that balance. And then you just kind of pointing out both sides of what that is.
Yes.
So kind of trying to find that middle ground. So I'm going to have us back up a little bit, because I'd like you to share with everybody, how do you know DJ Lute? How did you come to know him?
Okay. So years ago, 7 years ago now? 8. So 8 years ago, I had a friend who had a cousin, small town, and they were looking for a female vocalist to, perform with them and do hooks. They were hip-hop singers, rap singers, very talented. Foothill fam. Foothill.
Shout out to Foothill fam.
Shout out to Foothill fam. So Foothill fam, I went in for an audition, and basically my audition was to come in, write a hook for a song that they were working on, record it, and see how it turned out. And, that was going to be it. And I was put on the spot. I was like, all right, let's do this. And I think I wrote it out on Post-it notes.
That was your go-to, Post-it notes. 5 minutes, it was done.
I heard that.
Yeah, because I didn't know until I got there, and I was like, oh, okay. Okay, you got Post-it notes, you got a pen, let's do this. So I sat there and wrote out this hook, and we recorded in the studio, and they loved it. And after that, we started performing shows, and I think we came out with a lot of songs.
4 albums worth, and even some extra stuff that's not even been released yet.
Yeah, so. and that's the studio that we recorded in happened to be DJ Lute's studio. So that was when I met DJ Lute.
Yep.
Nice.
And we recorded with him ever since, and I've recorded with him ever since, and it's just been amazing. And not only that, but to see the growth and the changes from so long ago to now.
Right.
You know, it's been amazing. It's been a great journey.
Being able to open up and just share yourself of who you are through it all, I think is absolutely amazing. So the music that people can find prior to what you're putting out now on your own, because now you're kind of pushing and having this movement where it's all about you. It's the whole Syren music movement.
My first solo project. That's pretty crazy. It's still weird.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. We love having it. We're so glad that you're sharing it and that you're, bringing you full force.
Thank you.
So some of the work that you have, okay, so most people will drop albums, and you've been on many album compilations, as you've mentioned. And then do you mind mentioning some of those really quickly before we get into your singles?
Other artists that we've worked with. Shaughnessy. Shaughnessy was one of the very first ones. He has blessed me with so many spots on his tracks. So many. He's awesome. He's one of my favorite artists to work with.
Kurt Kane recently.
Kurt Kane has been a big one. Optimistic. He's another talented Charlie Muscle from Sacramento. He's got a great following. He got the opportunity to open for Tech 9 twice.
Nice.
And he gave me the opportunity to perform one of our songs that we did together twice in LA and in Sacramento. And I mean, just that experience alone was crazy. The crowd, the hype, everything, the energy. I'll never forget it. Mr. Fab. Mr. Fab is amazing. He's a big icon in the Bay Area, and he was so gracious enough to do a track with me and feature me on a hook. And that song, I mean, his lyrics alone gave me goosebumps. I mean, it was a very powerful song.
Yeah. Is this Let Love In?
Yes.
Is what you're speaking of, right?
Powerful song. When he finished that project, I mean, he dropped it quick. He came in, dropped it. I mean, he's a pro.
Yeah.
He blew me away. Yeah. And his lyrics, when I heard the track, I couldn't stop listening to it.
It's one of my favorite songs.
Thank you.
It is one of my favorite songs. The hook and the way that you sing on that, the way it just goes with what the message is in his lyrics is such a powerful song for so many, because there's so many broken people out there.
So many.
And they want to put their guards up, and they just don't let love in. They don't want to work on those things of what it would. Even I'm guilty of that myself.
Oh, yeah, we all are.
To just try to push through like a moment of anger, a moment of whatever that is other than love. So it takes a lot of effort, and that song is a great reminder. So again, thank you for just being able to just put that out there, to be able to be creative. And so when you're in these environments, and as the creative person that you are, how does it come to you? Just because there's a lot of artists out there that are looking to do that, try to open themselves up. Maybe they don't know how. What would you say to them?
That's a hard one to answer, because honestly, it's not really something you can turn on and turn off.
That's right.
It is. I mean, there's tracks that we'll have sitting for months, and I'll hear the instrumental and nothing will really spark, but then you give it 5 months and I put it on again, I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's right.
Because all of a sudden your life is different. All of a sudden you're feeling different feelings. You're at a different point.
Yes.
So at any point, I think if people are feeling a strong emotion that's going on in their life or a situation, and they're looking for that musical muse to give you that inspiration to write those lyrics and really get those feelings down on paper, like pay attention to that. Don't just shove off those feelings. Use those feelings. Bring out a notepad, put on an instrumental and write it down and see what comes out. And, even the first thing you write isn't going to be your final product.
That's
a lot of the times you go back and you add more stuff to it. I'll work on a song for a while. I'll start writing some certain lyrics, and then later on I'll come back and I'll be like, oh,
scratch that.
Yeah, scratch that. Or even if I'm just working and I'll sit there and I'll hear like an instrumental and I'll think something, or a quote will pop in my head, some kind of thing, and I'll jot it down real quick. Even that one, 2 sentences.
It makes a difference, yes.
Yeah.
Because it can totally open up a whole line of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're in the creative process and something comes to you and maybe you set it down, you're changing things down the road, where does it all come in when you're working with the producer? Also, you kind of putting your personal touches into maybe the idea of the project.
Okay. So Lou and I, that's one of the amazing things that we can accomplish together is that we can feed off of each other. I'll have an idea. And we won't necessarily agree on it right away, but we'll try it. He's like, all right, let's try this idea. And we'll try it. And all of a sudden we'll be like, wow, that sounds, we would have never even thought of that. That sounds really good. And it's a good thing for him and I to be able to sit there and do that. It helps so much. I always say, 2, 3, 4 brains are way better than one. I love having the variety. I love having the multiple flow in there. Mm-hmm. It really adds to a track because, you may have a lot of great ideas, but just having the contrast of someone else's ideas could make that project really pop. Mm-hmm. And that's something him and I have been able to accomplish. We sit there and we'll listen to a track over and over again, or sit there and work on a music video over and over again, and we'll just pop different things in there, and it's a lot of fun. Sometimes we'll think that a sour note, we'll keep it just in case, and we'll be able to blend it with a really good note or something to kind of make it pop, make it different. And we've broken a lot of barriers just trying different things that aren't the norm.
Now, breaking barriers you speak of, what do you feel kind of sets you apart from what we have going mainstream content, and then what you're bringing to the table, and kind of if you can speak on that as to why you chose to do that route, because you were talking about before your content was a little different.
Yes.
So let's talk about that.
So it is different in a lot of ways. A lot of our songs that we do, but we also try to keep a little bit of the mainstream in there as well. It's just, I don't know, how would you say?
I think putting a little bit of the unorthodox, because you don't want to stray too far. And well, honestly, new genres emerged because somebody did something new.
Right.
That's true.
So,
yeah.
But the attention span of today's listener, unless it's just the most utterly groundbreaking thing and you really set a new genre off, you kind of have to have a little familiarity in there. But we try to put something unorthodox in everything.
Yeah, kind of
like on Delicious, putting the vocoder in there. Who did that recently? Us. Well, it's been done, but I haven't heard the vocoder in
a while.
Anything for a while.
Yeah,
so.
Sometimes we'll bring like old genres back. We'll sit there and bring kind of old sounds into the new stuff, and put that in there. And
that's kind of the new thing these days is actually recreating. It's like truly hip hop. It's a whole new hip hop where you just take everything and anything and you kind of recreate and make something new.
Yeah,
that just sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to touch on the base that you bring a lot of positive lyrics.
Thank you.
You have kind of more a different way of pulling and bringing in the content that is more uplifting. I want to say that's more to build society.
I try to keep it classy.
Than to break it down. High five on that.
Yeah.
I'm totally on that. All about it. So
I really do. Yeah.
That's be able
one thing.
to do that. And so, was there a moment in your life when you were working with the music, where you said to yourself, I choose to go this way versus doing this? It's
a hard choice. It really is. That's something that we see a lot of, is a lot of artists. They, I don't want to, I'm not bashing.
No,
I'm
not at all.
Bashing.
Not at all.
I appreciate all music, all artists.
They're great at it.
Everyone.
They're great at what they do.
They are great at what they do. Exactly.
Yeah.
They're at the top of the charts for a reason.
Right.
It is one of those things that I think I spoke on recently about the pressure to really kind of, flaunt your body. Mm-hmm. You want to throw in a bunch of hardcore curse words. You want to throw in the whole "I'm the best" in your face, type of feel. And I've never been comfortable doing that kind of stuff.
Humble.
Yeah. I just, I'm taking a chance. I really am taking a chance by keeping it classy and making sure that there's not curse words in my music, because I want kids to enjoy my music. Mm-hmm. I want to be able to hand these mixtapes out to my nieces, my nephews, my godchildren.
Absolutely.
I want them to be able to enjoy. I want them and their friends to be able to enjoy it. Yeah. And I wouldn't feel comfortable being able to do that if I had all that stuff going on. I want them to watch my videos. I don't want them to see me in lingerie.
Right.
And, like, again, not bashing, just saying I'm
Mm-hmm.
kind of a different person when it comes to that. And I've always liked to maintain a little bit of
okay,
coverage.
And that's great. Yeah, I mean, because it goes to teach and show the younger generation and the youth and even maybe the older generation, everybody, that there's another way. You can still be fire. You can still be fierce. You can still be hitting the top of the charts and still be classy.
Mm-hmm.
It shows them that they can do these types of things and put their all into it, who they truly are, without having to try to be somebody that they maybe are not.
Exactly.
In the same respect.
And there's so much pressure out there
I think
these
of
days.
Lauryn Hill, you know. Lauryn Hill was classy and
beautiful.
She had great lyrics and she came in a very stylish way, and I can't say anything bad about her, and I can't think of any song that was ever trashy that came from her, but yet she was top of the charts and she did it all. So
and Mandy Moore.
Yeah.
Mandy Moore, I mean, since I was younger, was one of my biggest icons, and I loved her, and I loved the way she carried herself.
Yeah.
You know, she was still fun. She was quirky. She had her sense of humor about her, and she had great songs.
Yeah.
You know, great songs, very popular songs, but she kept it classy, and she kept it from the heart, and I really enjoyed that about her.
And so I think it's great because you're doing that, you're pushing on that note, and you're representing the females in the industry in a very good light. Not saying that anybody else wasn't or isn't.
I know, right? It's hard to
because they are good at what they do in their
Exactly.
genre. And so your genre, you're kind of not only kind of creating your own in a way, you're taking certain aspects of it and pushing who you are. So I kind of want to get into your singles, okay? So we're dropping singles. You got them all over the place. We have a few in rotation. We played Delicious.
Nice.
So I'm going to say maybe you can give a comment or a thought, opinion, whatever you want as we go through really quickly.
Yeah,
okay?
Definitely.
Okay, so first off, because we do have Delicious.
Okay.
How's that?
Delicious. That's a Delicious track. Okay, so Delicious. That was one of those instrumentals where he had sent it to me and I was working and I popped it on and I sat there and I was bobbing my head and I was like, this is a fun little track. I can see this being quirky and fun. And I think I had just recently watched a video of Katy Perry's and it was hilarious. And can't remember exactly what she was doing, but it kind of sparked me to kind of go in that direction. I was like, I want to do a quirky, fun song, you know, like something like that. So I started writing this down, and as I was writing the song, I was laughing. I was literally laughing, and there's a line in there. I think my most risque line is, "What, butter me up, baby? Come on, make me your breadstick."
Yeah.
And
what's cooking in the kitchen?
Yeah, what's cooking in the kitchen. So I wrote down that lyric, and I sat there, and I was like, should I bring this in the studio? Is Luke just gonna sit there and shake his head and be like, "What are we doing? Is this?" No, Amy, we're not going to do a track like this. But I came in, I laughed, I told him a couple lines, and I said, this is the idea I had for this track. And he laughed too, and he's like, let's do it. And the whole time we were recording, we were still laughing. Mm-hmm. So it was one of those songs that really brought a lot of sense of humor into the studio, and we had a lot of fun with it. So it's by far became one of our favorite tracks. I think he listened to it every day for a month.
Yep.
Yeah. I see
it's our most marketable, I think.
It totally is. I see it along the lines, and so Snow the Product has one called...
she's great.
I do like Snow the Product. Yeah. She's pretty dope. Basic, BITCH. So, but she's in the kitchen. So she's actually in the kitchen in her video.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
And so she's going through, and so like if I were to put a playlist together, even though it might be a little bit different content, it's kind of similar in the same way though, but I would throw those in the same.
That's awesome.
Cesare Day, so she's one of the other females in the area here that also works our music scene, and so she's all about keeping it classy too. So she's like, yay, classy. So she's giving you props, keep it classy. She loves that.
Awesome, thanks,
so,
girl.
as we do, yeah.
Awesome.
So then, okay, so you got Delicious.
Yes.
You talked about a little bit about We the People, one of your first political pieces that you're bringing in. Mm-hmm. And then, so up here, we've played also Gimme More.
Yeah,
featuring
that was
Van
a
B.
one. Yeah.
Right? So something about that.
So, okay, that one was a fun one. So we decided to do in-studio writing on that song.
Okay.
Van B, I met him at one of the shows I had at Blue Lamp in Sacramento. And I had no idea he lived in the Bay Area, like at all. So we came down, or he saw that I was coming down to Oakland a lot to record with DJ Lou. And he's like, oh man, I live down here in the Bay. I was like, no, you don't. Do you really? So and I really enjoyed his energy, and he was just so caring and thoughtful at the show. And he was someone that once you meet him, you really remember them.
Yeah, he's ready to come in.
Oh, you gotta get him in
in.
here. He is great. That guy, he's got a smooth voice. Even on the mic, I told Lou, I was like, dude, he needs to have a radio show.
Oh.
He's got the hey.
Oh.
But yeah, so we planned a day for a studio session, and we're like, hey, let's do in studio writing, and I think it turned out really cool, and we had a couple drinks. And we sat there listening to the track, and he sat in one chair and I sat in the other chair, and we just fed off each other's ideas and ended up writing the song. And it's a very unique song.
And how long did it take DJ Lou to get it all together?
Yeah, I think it was done.
Well, the instrumental was close to finished. We always tweak them later, but however long that took, I think that was a pretty quick one. But once they sat down and wrote, it was about 30 minutes, and they said, we're ready to record now.
Yeah.
And the mixing and refining, quick. I don't know how to...
It was quick,
when the energy is good, it just goes.
Exactly.
You just go.
I put a lot more time into the mix of that one because of a lot of different... There's a skit section. There's an intro. There's different things that I needed to do different things. It wasn't just, I'm going to put some reverb on the vocal and call it a day. There was a lot of effects in it, so it was more complex.
There were. It was a fun track for sure, and that's one of my favorite things about in-studio writing and networking and collaborating with other artists, to get in there and feel that energy and just start flowing down and see what you come up with. The finished product is the most exciting part, to see
it really is.
How it sounds at the end, and I'm blown away every time. Even when I think I know how a song's going to sound and he sends it to me, I'm like, what?
Yeah. You're like, I didn't think it was going to sound like that.
Yeah. I always wait to play it in my car, too, because I want the best.
Yes, the sound,
I want the whole sound in there.
We send off to Analog Andy. Don't forget about him. He's our last little piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Does the final mastering, so go Andy.
Andy does the very clean finishing up touches. He's very talented, very, very good at what he does. The songs always come back sounding phenomenal.
Nice. Okay, so you did speak on a little bit about Let Love In with Mr. Fab. And you said that one was a in studio session as well?
No, so that one actually, Lute came up with this instrumental, and I actually recorded the hook prior to introducing it to Mr. Fab. So we went and saw him at his store before it moved. It was, where was it located before?
Market Street.
Yeah. Okay. So we went to Dope Era,
which
is awesome. They have great stuff there. I think my brother bought a shirt from there. It was awesome. It had like the duck hunt guns. It was like my first strap.
Truly?
I laughed so hard. I was like, that was the best shirt I've ever seen.
So true.
He's got some great ones in there. Just some great spin-offs on some really popular characters. And we went in there. We had communicated with him a few times, popped in, said hi, and we brought this track to him. And I think he listened to it over Luke's cell phone in the middle of the store. Listened to it, listened to the hook. Yeah, all right.
Oh, nice.
We were both blown away. We were like, really? Like that, really? and we were so excited. Like, we walked out, big old smiles on our faces. We're like, yeah, he's gonna do it. And it was so awesome of him to do that. And he ended up coming in, I think a few days later, dropped it, done. And it was awesome. And the way he fed off the feel of the track and the hook, I mean, all he had was the hook to go off of, and he just nailed it. He nailed the feel. He nailed everything.
That is really an amazing track. I love playing it. I'll always keep it in rotation.
Thank
just
you.
because the message that it is.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I really try to encourage, to uplift, and to bring in the messages that a lot of people can relate to.
Yes.
And sometimes those messages might be a little grimy sometimes too, given that people in certain walks of life can relate to those. But it's still on the up and up. They're still trying to show that they're trying to get out of whatever environment or situation and their struggle to get there. So a lot of times people find themselves kind of lost in love, or they don't know what that might entail. So this piece, I think, is just a really important piece, because love is just seems to be not taken, I don't want to say seriously.
Yeah, wholeheartedly.
Yeah, but it's a piece where people might get a chance to stop and think for a minute of what it is to them. So other than that, I see you have Broken Glass up here. So when was that released, and how did that come about?
Oh my gosh, when was that one released?
Last month.
Was it last month?
Yeah.
That was a fun track.
And you guys can find this at www.syrenmusic.com.
Yes, ma'am. All of our stuff is there. It's constantly being updated, and you can find all the links to anything related to the tracks and our YouTube channel.
All of it.
Always. Broken Glass. So we were on such a dance kick. We were on a dance kick. We were on a high energy kick. And there was a point in my life where I had, started feeling a little low. Mm-hmm. And I needed to release some of those deeper messages that I had, those deeper feelings inside of me. And he caught on to that really quick. Mm-hmm. And he felt, what was going on. So he actually took time out to create some softer, slower instrumentals for me to work with, which was really neat.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. So it's, again, very therapeutic, and it helps me a lot. And so he sent these tracks my way, and I heard them and immediately, was able to write. Yeah. I was able to write to it, because sometimes when you're feeling like that, those up tracks, those, hyped up ones, you just can't really relate, even though you want to so bad. You can't find that connection. So these slower tracks were able to do that for me, including Broken Glass. And if you listen to lyrics on that one, you can kind of really feel where I was at that point in time. And I felt like broken glass. I felt like I could shatter at any moment. Right. And so I wanted to display that into the song. And I was like, I'm sure there's somebody else out there that feels the same way. And I hope that they can relate to it. A lot of my music I write, I think of other people as well, and the listeners, and how they can possibly relate, because I know that everyone feels these feelings. Everyone goes through their highs, their lows. Yes. And so I want them to have something to listen to when they're going through these moments.
Music is such a therapy, not even just for artists to be able to let it out, but it is also for the listener. And that's why they have a lot of music therapy, and that's really a big up and coming practice now, because it helps people to take their mind back to a point, to come back to a place. And be themselves at where they were at that point. And so they've been seeing a lot of great results with music therapy.
That's awesome.
And it helps people express and to kind of have the therapy that they need. So we start to see a lot
puppies.
of that.
Puppies are good therapy too.
Kittens. Don't forget kittens.
And kittens. If you're ever sad, grab a puppy.
Yes, we all love our pets. I have a friend who loves birds.
Oh, there you go.
So she's all about her birds.
Oh, birds are fun. They get into dancing.
They really do. They're
like doing their little dancing. They're like, yeah.
So shout out to Melissa on that one. So you also have up here, Look at Me, and then Step 1, Step 2.
Yes.
Why do you do that? We got to share that.
Okay. So Look at Me. That song is a very emotional song. I had lost a friend who suicide.
I'm so sorry.
Yes.
Rest in peace.
No, and the thing is we didn't know.
Nobody ever does.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
But if you look really closely, there's signs.
Yes.
And that was something that I started going through, and as I started talking to people, and I started kind of going through his Facebook, and I started going through little things, and there was little signs, that he wasn't doing so well.
So, what were some of those? So somebody would know what to look for.
He quit his job.
Okay.
Randomly.
Randomly.
He loved his job. He was doing very good. He was able to pay his bills. He was doing good. And then all of a sudden, nobody knew why he quit his job. And then he didn't really he stopped driving his vehicle. He kind of parked it, not in front of the house anymore, but behind. Oh. Behind the house. And it was really weird. There were certain little, signals here and there, comments on Facebook, that I think a lot of people, I understand that there's a lot of people out there that openly share their sad stories, and their depression. And a lot of people will shove it off. Yeah. They're like, oh,
they'll get through it.
Yeah, they'll get through it. They'll be okay. They'll be fine.
They're just venting.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of those signs actually need to be taken a little more seriously, and maybe pay a little more attention, call that person up just randomly, talk to them for 15 minutes, say, hey, how's it going? Tell them how much you care. Tell them how much you really appreciate them and how well they're doing in their life.
And is that this song here?
That song right there is something like that. So you'll hear in the lyrics, that they were yelling, which they weren't actually yelling, but those are those signs, so it's kind of like I was right in front of you trying to tell you and you didn't hear me. So if you listen to the lyrics, it goes through different stages, and at the end it says, now I'm gone, now I'm gone. Now people are kind of noticing. Now people are like, oh, what happened? Now people are kind of like, oh,
now
we should
have
paid
care.
more attention. Now people care. And, it also keeps it as well, as them being sad and everything, but also you'll hear in there, do you see the right picture? They say 1,000 words. And it's also trying to say that there were the good times, as sad as it is and as horrible as it is, also pay attention to their smile and those times that you had with them and find those right pictures, because they did care as much as you care as well. But maybe just take into consideration, like I said, that phone call or that simple coffee date, anything to maybe let them know that people care.
Yes.
I was also at a funeral recently, and this person struggled a lot. They would dip in, dip out, dip in, dip out. And people just let them do their thing. And at the end, he was diagnosed with cancer very young. And at the end, all these people started hanging out with him. The family, the friends were driving from far away to hang out. And one of the last things that he really said was, I had no idea so many people cared. And that's something that you take into consideration. Yeah. A lot of people, we get so busy with our lives, we get so caught up with everything, we forget to kind of extend that hug or that handshake or that phone call and remember that those people, they care about you a lot. And
you'll be missing, if,
Yeah.
You go, we miss the people, and even though you might not see them every day, all day, they're still a factor in the fabric of life.
Yes.
And so, yes, you guys, it's very important to always reach out and share. So I'm glad that you're sharing this in the music and giving people some reminders of, how to kind of care for your others and care for your loved ones and care for your friends. And even those that are maybe not your friends, they're an acquaintance, but you kind of have a concern for them or care for them.
Yes. Spread the positivity, praise them, spread the comments, spread the love, just try to stay as positive as possible for them.
And it helps to help them have that connection.
Yes,
feel
definitely.
Connected.
Definitely.
So then next in line is step 1, step 2. Now, does that follow this particularly?
No, step 1, step 2 was a fun little short, I want to say interlude song almost. It was
sort of.
It was just this kind of different track. He came up with this beat that was in a different count, something we're not usually used to. What
3, like a
3-4 times.
3-4.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so it's not very common, and I loved it. I was like, I love this. I feel like some kind of darker type feel to it, and so I wanted to throw that in there. And step 1, step 2 was kind of like an also in your face type thing. You can do whatever you want, but step 1, step 2, I'm stepping all over you. I'm gonna rise above it. I'm gonna rise above it, and whatever you have to say and whatever you throw my way type of feel.
Nice.
So
well, you guys, there's a lot more that you guys can check out on www.syrenmusic.com. And if you go and scroll to the bottom, you'll see her singles. I'd like to ask, though, really quickly, and let our viewers and listeners know what you have upcoming as far as any performances, where they can find you. You are going to be here in Stockton, so later we're going to be heading out to lunch. So if anybody feels
I'm excited
to get out and pop up and pop out there.
Yeah, definitely.
We've agreed to go to Susie's, right?
Yes.
Susie's.
Mexican-American food. We go to Nena's or Susie's. Nena's is great, too. It's all Mexican mostly, but Mexican-American. Susie's right over here on Harding, so... if you guys want to come by and say hi.
We have some mixtapes also.
Mixtapes you can
bracelets
grab
if you want.
Yes, I'm loving the bracelets. So if you guys see them in the back. And she's got one on her wrist, so the green ones that say Syren, and then the T-shirts here. So as
got
well.
Some shirts also.
So other than you being out here in Stockton getting ready to go have lunch, where will you be performing soon?
So as for right now, at the moment, I have a tour coming up that we're planning. Can't release any information right now. Like
other than
details.
West Coast, East Coast,
yeah,
worldwide.
It's not going to be too far. We are going to be hitting some of the outer states of California.
Okay.
It's going to be a small 2-week tour, but I'm really excited for it. So right now I'm holding off on shows and prepping for that. It's going to be March, April area at this time. We're just hitting the venues, and it's going to be fun, and I'm going to be stinky probably, but
that's the road trip
that
life,
tour
right?
life. But it's going to be my first tour, and I'm so excited. I've had a lot of friends who are talented artists, and I've watched them tour, and it's something that I've always wanted to do. So I got hit up with the opportunity to join 2 other very talented artists, Optimistic and Charlie Muscle, and we are going to take on the road.
Yay.
And I'm excited. So right now we're trying to get radio interviews in, and then when I get back from the tour, we are planning on shows. We want to hit the rest of the year with shows as much as possible. So anyone out there looking to book artists, we are interested. So definitely
you guys heard it.
Send us a message, hit us up. We are down to travel. We want to spread the music.
I'll have to give you a few names of some
that would be great.
friends that also do radio in different cities.
Yeah.
So you can definitely get
that would
them
be
More
fun.
interviews, the better.
Absolutely, right? Share the
Definitely.
love. We need to get you out there.
Yeah. And it's
So-
so fun to experience these different areas and different people. It's so interesting and it's memorable.
So what's your take on the fact that coming from our area, because even it's like the hills, but moving into the valley a little bit, it's been rural for a very long time.
Yes.
What is it for you seeing it start to urbanize a lot more?
It's really neat. It's really neat. It's interesting to see the culture, and the artwork. There's so much. Placerville is really beautiful. We have a lot of rivers. We have a lot of forest. We have a lot of small town stuff. But to be able to come out into the cities and see the different stuff that they offer, all the different stores, different artwork, they're really a lot more open to everyone's artistic abilities and their talents. And they're more willing to kind of present it, all kinds of stuff. So there's always something to look at. And I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And the people, the different cultures, it's all very, very fun.
Yeah, it's really fun. And we're having lots of fun playing your music and having you come out
Thank
here.
you.
And looking forward to seeing how you do on your tours and all your uploads and videos and pictures. So is there anything that you want to leave as far as maybe your contact IG or anything that they can get in touch with you, follow you, how they can kind of like interact with you?
Yeah,
as you go on. I'm going to go ahead and type that here.
Yeah, my Facebook, my Instagram. It's all Amy Leanne, AmeyLeeanne, which is my real name. And then, of course, Syren, Syren.
2 words, Amy, Amey, and then Leanne,
Yeah.
Okay.
And pretty much anything that you search in there, I'll pop up. You can go to the website, syrenmusic.com. We have our YouTube channel.
YouTube, IG, Twitter, all of them.
All of it.
Able to be, it's a jump off to everything else.
Yeah, any way you want to communicate with me, but the biggest spot to really find every single link is at the syrenmusic.com website. We have everything on there.
Spotify playlist, every new single that comes out, I add to the top or near the top of it.
Yeah. And you guys can find that in the comments below. I did add that there. Leanne, Leeann?
E.
Oh, okay, great. I know everybody spells things so differently.
Yeah.
And so I always have to ask. That's one of the things that if somebody will tell me their name the first time, I'll ask them how they spell it. Just because sometimes they'll pronounce it just a little bit differently just because of the way it's spelled. And they want it just that way.
Yeah, and my dad really thought Amey was the appropriate way to spell Amy. Unfortunately, nobody spells it that way, so it's very confusing to a lot of people. But it's cool. I don't hold him against him at all because there's so many ways to spell it. But yeah, everything's on syrenmusic.com. You can find anything on there. Again, we're looking to really get some gigs booked and some venues. So if anyone has any ideas or any recommendations, please throw it our way. We would love to hear about it.
Okay, absolutely. We're going to go ahead and play Delicious because we did We the People, and then we also did Maybe Then. So Delicious is one of her solos that she does by herself, and it's the one that she was saying was pretty fun. And
it's a quirky song, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So I hope you guys enjoy this on the outro. If you guys have any questions, feel free to message her, find her. DJ Lou also is available for questions as well.
Definitely.
If you guys have any information as to any shows that you feel that you would love to have her come join, and or any other artists that you would love to talk to her about collaborating with, and also with DJ Lou,
always
tap in. So here you go. This is Delicious by Syren.
Thank you.